Okay, we have time for just 2 or 3 questions. We'll take a short break and then we'll do a short 20-minute. Yes, the microphone is coming. The microphone is coming. They've given us instruction.
By the way, I am with my legs. I'm much better now, since my husband started to walk with me around. We've taken walks for past since middle of 2010. So I feel much better now.
Good.
With my legs. I was much worse before. Anyway, my question was, first of all, is soy milk in Europe much worse than the one we have here in Australia, like So Good sanitarium one?
Is the soy milk in Europe much worse?
Yes, that's right.
Tastes as good. It's high priced, €3 or €4 for a litre, whatever. Nutritionally it's inferior because it doesn't have the same level of fortification, although the Germans are now starting to add calcium to the same level that you do here. There's 1 or 2 nutrients they're starting to add, but there's a lot of soya milks on the market in Europe which are nothing more than coloured water, which is a lot of what Adventists make in their home and feed to their children with these soya machines. It's coloured water, because without the fortification, soy beverage doesn't equal cow's milk. It's only when we fortify it with the calcium and the D and other things that we can bring it up to the level. So it's good to buy So Good because it's been professionally, carefully, nutritionally balanced to provide the nutrients you need. Yes?
I just want to ask the difference, is there any difference nutrition-wise between soy milk that is homemade soy milk, using the machine to make it yourself with the soybean, and those you can buy it from the supermarket?
Yeah, I more or less just answered that by saying the homemade one is like, it's a coloured water beverage. It's not really, see, whenever you use the word milk, you're implying that it's equivalent to or analogous to cow milk or goat milk or whatever. And the soy milk is really a soy beverage, rice beverage, oatmeal beverage, but we call milk rice milk, soy milk, and that's because they fortified it so that it has the level of similar nutrient profile, so that you look at the label, it looks the same as what cow milk nutrition label has. But when you make it yourself with just boiling the bean in water, then it's just coloured water. It's not going to have but a small amount of vitamins and minerals, particularly calcium, is going to be very low. So it's very unsafe to use this homemade soya milk to feeding young children. It's not good at all.
Thank you.
Yes, one more question there in the back. And then we'll have, I guess we have 15 minutes or so.
My question is, how can I word this? If we're supposed to eat food as grown, that's kind of the philosophy I get from Hansdale and people like that, then like the way you were describing soy milk, if it's manufactured, then it's good for us. But somehow that seems to be in tension with the very core philosophy of food as grown. In other words, I grow me veggies, I can survive on that. My oranges and my apples and my bananas, I can survive on that. Do I need soy milk at all? Like, if I'm just going to go down that track of eat only food as grown, not manufactured out of a factory, and do you know where I'm coming from?
Uh-huh.
So can I survive without soy milk if I'm going to follow this philosophy of eating foods just as grown in nature and bring it home and do what I wanted with it, but I don't need to eat food as a product out of a factory?
Okay, the short answer is yes, you can survive. But your survival may be with a lower quality of life simply because we've come a long way from the Garden of Eden, and if you're not taking a supplement to enhance the food that's as grown, then you could run into difficulty. The only reason we have pushed soya milk is because it is providing some key nutrients which are very difficult to get on a diet as food is grown. You could get your calcium from green leafy vegetables, but you would need to be eating them 3 times a day in probably 2 to 3 cups of green leafy vegetables 3 times a day to get enough calcium. So the use of soya milk is making it more palatable to be able to get the needed nutrient levels without having to subject the body to buckets of greens, for example. Well, seeds is going to be even worse. Your almonds and other seeds, you're going to be eating very large quantities. And there's no question about it that in the Australian dietary, milk or milk substitutes are the richest source of calcium. So, you know, if you want to have a diet that's based only on foods as is grown, sure, you can survive, but the quality of life may not be there after 60 years. It's probably easy to project that way to an audience of 50-year-olds who've got great B12 liver supplies from the previous 50 years. But if you're talking to a bunch of teenagers who have been vegans all their life, then I couldn't predict without some fortification what their future will be. There's what? Yeah, if we want to eat that way, that's fine. You know, the what? Yeah, and the hygiene level, of course, is also a factor. They're getting their D because they're tilling. Their B12 they're getting because their level of hygiene. You know, we disinfect everything from the bathroom onwards, and we sterilise our food. So I mean, if we live that way, yeah, we would probably get some of the nutrients that we've spoken about, the D and the B12. But in our Western Australian way, Australian Western culture, it can be challenging. And the only reason why I come out strong is that vitamin D and vitamin B12 deficiencies are serious problems. Omega-3, we're not...
My parents' generation, many of them lived in the 80s, 90s, and maybe 100,
But they weren't strictly vegan. And they weren't strictly vegan. No. You can use all those cases, but if you were to do the analysis, there was animal product somewhere in their diet. So, okay. One more question, and get the microphone to you, and then the issue is, do you want to have...
Apparently, a lot of soybeans today is GM, genetically modified. So how safe is that? Because they are genetically modified. So apparently, if we use soybeans that's being GM, then they are not safe.
Is it not possible for you to get GM-free soya beans?
Yeah. Well, apparently, most of the ones in the market today are.
I think with a little searching, you probably should be able to find. You should be able to
Non-GM
find.
ones, yeah.
You know, and if you have a problem, have you heard of chickpeas, pinto beans, 300 other different legumes, lentils, red lentils, brown lentils? Soya bean is not the one and all-encompassing legume. I mean, there are many other beans, and believe me, all the beans are fairly identical in their nutritional profile, with the exception of the isoflavones. That's the only thing that makes, well, there's two things. Soya beans have a much higher level of protein than the other beans. It's like 25% the legumes, whereas soya beans are 30 to 35% protein. The other difference about soya beans is their isoflavones that we've talked about in protecting against chronic diseases. But the legumes are loaded with iron and other minerals and B vitamins and so forth, and unsaturated fat and good quality protein. So, you know, if you're really struggling and you want to have legume and you've struggled with the GM problem, then switch to some other legume. Okay? Okay, we have, according to me, about 10 minutes. And so that's not enough to go through the next lecture. But I did want to say something about phytochemicals and fruit and vegetables. And I wish we could show you the pictures and the beautiful diagrams and stuff, but I'll try to, in my mind, to summarize it. All fruits and vegetables and nuts and whole grains have phytochemicals in them which will help us be protected against cancer and heart disease and diabetes. And there are some vegetables that are more rich in phytochemicals than in others. There are some fruits which are the berries that we've talked about, you know, cherries and the acai berry and the raspberries, the blueberries. These things have documented chemicals, flavonoids. Most of them are flavonoids. They're all antioxidants, and these are known to protect us against various cancers. And so we need to incorporate these into our diet. Apples and oranges also have flavonoids, quercetin and others. Onions, garlic, turmeric are very rich in flavonoids. Garlic especially has sulfur compounds. What gives the garlic that strong odor, these are sulfur compounds. I joke that these are related to the odor of skunk, and skunk is unpleasant. You may not be familiar with it, but you know, garlic is also very strong, has that strong sulfur smell. But these are known to stimulate enzymes in the liver that help us get rid of cancer-causing agents. So when we season our foods with basil and with oregano and with mint and with fennel and with dill and with celery and with garlic and onion, it's important that we use all these things because they all have these phytochemicals in them, and these protect our health. Onions will lower your risk of blood clots, okay, and ginseng can even help with cardiovascular improvement. So rather than seasoning with salt, which is the easy thing, salt and pepper is a question. The red pepper data shows that it actually increases the risk of stomach and intestinal cancer when used in large amounts, like Mexican and Indian dishes. You know what I mean, real hot stuff. When it's used little amount and infrequently, it doesn't seem to be a problem, but used commonly, it can be risky. So use ginger. Ginger is also something that lowers your risk of blood clots, and the gingerols and the coumarin that's in there, as in the turmeric, these are cancer protective substances. So, you know, cut your ginger up, dice it a little bit and put it in your fruit salad, put it in your stir fried, put it in your muffins. It's wonderfully cheap, inexpensive here. I want to take packets of it back home because it's so expensive over there, but you can add some enhancement to your cooking with just a little chunks of ginger, or grate the ginger root into your stir fry or whatever. So that's the first point. Make your cooking so vividly attractive by using these spices and herbs that it's not just the flavour. These flavour compounds are known to block cells that are cancer forming and that it prevents against the proliferation of tumour cells. So they are useful. There are different herbs that can also be used for diabetes, and this is going to be a problem that all of you are going to be facing and dealing with more and more all the time. And it's not just the obesity, but it's pediatric obesity with subsequent diabetes. You need to develop programs to help people eat correctly. And you have bitter melon in your marketplace. You're familiar with bitter melon? The Chinese, it looks like a cucumber with sharp prickles along it. It's very useful for modifying blood glucose. Fenugreek is another one. Trying to think of some others, but these are some herbs that you're going to find very useful. You're going to want to push the cabbage family. The cabbage family, that's cauliflower and Brussels sprouts and artichoke and those sort of things. These are an arugula. You have that here, the lettuce type plant called rocket or arugula. This is also in the same family. So using this will provide some sulfur-containing compounds that provide for protection against cancer. Now you might say, well, my kids don't like cabbage and cauliflower and arugula. It's got this little bit of flavour. Well, it's the bit of flavour that's the flavonoids. So if you get more sweet vegetables, guess what? You're not getting the phytochemicals. Okay, so, and then of course the grains. Eating your white grains is bad news. You've heard in the past that you lose most of your vitamins and minerals because it's the bran that has all the fibre, 90% of the fibre. 75% of your vitamins and minerals is in the bran. So you get rid of the bran, you have white flour. Well, the truth of the matter is that 75 to 90% of your phytochemicals, your antioxidants, your polyphenolics, guess what happens when you turn the wheat berry into white flour? They get lost. And one of the most powerful ones is ferulic acid. Your lettuce, it's the outer leaves which have the most phytochemicals in them. So they look a little bit mealy or a little bit snail crawled or whatever. You know, wash them and use them because they can have 10 times more phytochemicals than the heart. Pale, pasty, look at my face, like that. No phytochemicals. But the outside leaves that are exposed to the sun, phytochemicals are rich in them. So the nuts, the little brown skin around the nut, don't blanch your nuts because you're going to lose your phytochemicals. Don't refine your grains. When you use olive oil, don't use the pure olive oil because that's been refined, even though it says pure. Use your extra virgin. And you know, there's olive oil made in Australia now, which is very good. So get your cold pressed extra virgin olive oil and it's loaded with phytochemicals. So wherever you see colour, rich colour, deep colour, you know that's protection. Your tomato, lycopene, okay? Good for prostate cancer protection. So all your yellows and oranges and reds in your fruit and vegetable kingdom, these are all protection. Your green leafy vegetables, these are also carotenoid rich that will protect you against cancer. So these are the sort of general rules to enhance your meals with plenty of fruits that have lots of colour and vegetables that have lots of colour. But there always are exceptions. Tofu, what colour is it? Radish, what colour is it? Cauliflower, what colour is it? I've given you 3 examples of cancer protective foods that violate the principle I told you that colour is your friend. Because it's you know, with all rules there's always exceptions. Okay? So the important thing as we wrap up now is, as our brother said back there, we want to eat as much as possible food as close to the way it's grown. That's going to be the safest. We want to wash it well, because even though the skins and the outer leaves are richer in phytochemicals, we may be concerned about pesticides. If you're not buying organic, then you want to make sure you wash all those things off, or try to buy organic if you can. So use as much colourful fruits and vegetables. Your grains, you know, they recommend at least 3 servings of grains a day. A serving is a slice of bread or a muffin or half a cup of rice or half a cup of macaroni, whatever. This is a serving. You want to use whole grains, at least 3, minimum of 3 a day. Fruits and vegetables, 10 servings a day of fruit or vegetable. Fruit plus vegetable equals 10 or more. Okay, when you do that with your grains and your fruits and vegetables, what is there left for anything else? Not much, is it? You know, and in your work in the community, you want to make life simple. And when you demonstrate recipes that contain a lot of, you know, at the risk of being misunderstood, all of these fancy sanitarium products, they're all good for standbys or for bridges, but we need to be teaching people how to use legumes and lentils and whole grain rice and macaroni and the simple things with lots of vegetables and dessert fruits like the Mediterranean diet. Lots of greens, lots of fresh fruits. If our diet is based this way, then I think it will be attractive to the community. People, they are sick and tired of cooking with milk and eggs. They want to know something different. And it's not bad to use milk or eggs, but if you want to really get attraction to people, give them something lavish with colour and flavouring with different herbs and make it exciting. Okay? Experiment. But you know where you want to experiment? At home. Don't be experimenting with new recipes out in the public place. That's dangerous, right? I'm sure that's one of your principles. You make sure you have a good recipe, you've checked it out, it tastes good and it looks good and it's colourfully displayed, and you'll have people knocking your door down for another recipe. But if you haven't experimented and you present a recipe, you demonstrate it, and people go home and it tastes yuck, they'll never see you again. They won't bother coming back. So thank you for your patience. Sorry it's a little bit warm, but you've been a great audience.